Eskom is aware that its operations have the potential to damage and disrupt the environment if care is not taken. A variety of measures have been implemented to ensure a mutually beneficial relationship between the power stations and the natural environment. More than 100 million tons of low-grade coal are burnt annually in Eskom's power stations. Through improved technology, more than 99% of the ash is extracted from the combustion gases before being released into the atmosphere above the inversion layer.
The natural inversion layer, more or less here, it's about 250 meters above. So everything is emitted above the natural inversion layer. It's dispersed over vast distances. It's basically diluted.
Mindful of the fact that South Africa is a water-scarce country, Eskom spends considerable time and effort finding ways to improve its water usage practices. For example, Eskom operates some of the largest dry-cooled power stations in the world.
We don't use as much water as the wet-cooled stations because we don't have any steam that we are losing at the top of the cooling tower.
Eskom has also developed processes to recycle the water used at the power stations.
There's not a single drop of water from the process of producing electricity is allowed to discharge into the natural environment, except of course the vapor that we have from the cooling towers.
Over the years, Eskom has entered into partnerships with environmental organizations to manage the impact of their business on the environment. For example, a number of the power stations have nature reserves on their sites, such as this one at Koeberg. And at Drakensberg Pumped Storage, the human footprint is extremely small. At the new Ingula site, Eskom, BirdLife South Africa and the Middelpunt Wetland Trust are working together to rehabilitate and conserve a sensitive wetland.
We do a biomonitoring upstream of the wetland and downstream of the wetland. So if there is an impact on the invertebrates in the water, then from there we can see that we are having a negative impact on the wetlands.
The Palmet storage scheme is located in the heart of the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve.
In this area we have got roughly over 1,600 different species of fynbos. Where Eskom fits in is that we needed to take extreme care that we did not go and do any degradation or disturbance to the environment with the construction of Palmet. Access roads were carefully mapped, waste was removed on a regular basis, and where disturbance had to be done, fynbos was actually relocated for future propagation. In this area there is a lot of seepage from the upper mountain catchment area. The water is extremely clean and we are monitoring the water quality. If there are any impacts from the power station that we're made aware of it to mitigate it. If we look over here, we can see that we have actually gone and put logging down, which is one of the ways which we actually slow the water down, and in such a way we keep the soil and promote growth of new fynbos.
It is clear that the land is recovering and Eskom is doing its part for the environment. But Eskom is also concerned with protecting the environment outside of its operations. Mossel Bay is a beautiful coastal town along the Cape's Garden Route. It is experiencing rapid growth, often at the expense of the natural environment. The Oyster Bay Reserve is a 330-hectare botanical and marine reserve. Its primary aim is to involve the Mossel Bay communities to become more aware of their personal role in conservation.
Oyster Bay Reserve is basically an entity that allows students an opportunity to get involved in conservation projects where they can finish off their practicals, and it's actually fitted in very nicely with our current projects we've been running.
I've seen in the Karoo where little stem...
Eskom has, through its development foundation, decided to assist with one of their projects.
The idea is to try and identify which areas on our coastline, specifically in the Mossel Bay coastline, are worthy of being preserved based on red data species. When I say red data hotspots, it's species that are critically endangered that we want to go ahead and actually preserve.
The Trust has created 7 conservancies and given each one the responsibility for a stretch of coastline.
If they see a specific species, they can actually give us a grid reference which we can geolocate back onto a grid map, and then start getting people to identify data, which still gives us the information that a Cape fox or a Sushinensis humpback dolphin was spotted in this area And from that, then we can go ahead and actually go into the phase 2, which is the scientific research.
Students gather the info collected from the rangers and input it onto the website.
And if you start seeing a large mass of species in one area, you start saying, wait a minute, that's an area which I want to preserve, versus an area with no spots, which is an area which you could possibly sacrifice.
And the result will hopefully be development that preserves and nurtures the natural environment.